Hello and welcome everyone to a truly special edition of what I believe will be something transformational. This is the official launch of Love Speaks with Candice Ruggiero Out in the community. I'm in Riverview Public Library here in Tampa, Florida. Again, I'm your host, and for those of you who are just getting to know me, I'm a keynote speaker, a lifelong educator, host of the Intentional Excellence podcast, This Love Show, founder of a global education consulting firm. But more than all of that, I'm a woman on a mission to lead with love. You see, over the past year, I've hosted a weekly live show on social media where I've talked about love, loving ourselves, embracing others, and showing global compassion. But today marks something different. Because I'm not just talking anymore. I'm taking these words and putting them into action. And I couldn't imagine a perfect way to start this journey than by highlighting someone whose entire life has embodied service, honor, humility, and quiet strength. My first guest is Wendell Goodson, a man whose life is a reflection of love in action. Wendell is a retired surgeon, first class in the U.S. Army's military, assistance special forces, where he served for 21 years. His commitment to protecting others continued through his work as a jail training officer with the county sheriff's office and as a correctional officer in Orlando, Florida. Wendell has also served as a public school teacher, guiding and supporting the next generation. But beyond the titles and accolades, Wendell is a man of compassion and quiet service. He's active in church. He sponsors children through the Children's Relief Fund. And he's known for simply showing up for people when they need someone. I am so honored to have you, Wendell, to my show. Please know that I appreciate you. I know you're busy and everything. And I just want the viewers to know that this is such a special episode because I have someone who has served his life to the country, to the community, and he's here showing acts of kindness in his own special way. Wendell, how are you today?
I'm fine. Just great.
Yeah. Wendell, I believe that you have lived a life rooted in service. You work for the military, law enforcement, and you're a public school teacher.
Yes.
Yet what stands the most is how you show love and kindness through your actions. Now, Wendell, can you share with us, how do you share love in your everyday activities, everyday life, maybe through gestures or action or just your presence? And what is love for you?
Well, which one did I answer first?
Okay.
Well, I guess initially to give you some kind of groundwork of my character. I'm a Christian, not that I'm perfect, but I try and let God's word lead me in my service on a minute, hour by hour, day by day, week by week, and so forth. And so being a Christian helps keep me focused on what I need to do as a man, as a husband, as a father, and using God's word to guide me every day is it's been something that I've been on a journey for like the past almost 40 years that I've been a Christian. So if, to kind of sum up that question of love and what motivates you to love and serve, it would be the fact that Jesus saved me a long time ago, 40 years ago. And since he has, I've used that platform, my Christian platform, to serve and to do the things that his word tells me I should be doing. And the way, we all have talent and gifts.
Yes.
And I figured I just try to use mine to best serve my community. Whether it was law enforcement or mentoring kids, coaching kids, teaching kids. That was part of it, working in a prison.
Right.
So yeah, just doing some of the things that I can do using my talents and abilities that God gave me to help our community and to serve our community.
It's just amazing that despite what you've experienced and seen, I'm sure you've seen suffering, pain, and hurt, because of what you do.
Right.
And you are here with such a kind heart, and you're still willing to do that.
Yes.
I am just so proud and just happy that you still have not forgotten how you were raised, what you believe in, because I believe in life that you need to have your source. You need to believe in someone, whoever your source is, my God, your God. Everybody has someone they believe in. And I do agree with you that if your life is rooted in just following, what you think is right, then everything that you do is with purpose. Right. And you have such a gentle way of saying things, and when I think of a military man, I think of somebody strong and powerful, but looking at you, I'm not surprised when you're here showing acts of kindness, because there's such gentleness in you despite what your role was through your service. Right?
Yes, God is blessed. It's a humbling experience, and I appreciate you wanting to interview me. It's not something I go out and just stand on the corner and talk about, but I try and use all the talents and gifts God in my time, even if I don't have talents. I try and do and say those things that will give glory and honor to God. And I enjoy my life. I'm not like a preacher per se, a reverend, a lay person, but I know that you don't need to be one in order to live who you are. I read the Purpose Driven Life book. That has kind of helped me, in Ecclesiastes 12:13, it says the whole duty of man is to fear God and keep his commandment. Doubt pretty good. I don't try and figure out the providence of God by trying to figure out exactly what he wants me to do in order to bless me per se. I just know that he will bless me if I'm trying to do what his word says. But the blessings isn't my main motivation for serving him, because just being able to know that I'm serving someone like God who is full of mercy, grace, and love is enough reward in itself.
Honored to have you. I started this show because I want to feature everyday members, community members, everyday individuals, people, and know that in your own special way, you can spread love and you can spread kindness. And what better way to have an example? But you serve the country, you serve the community, and you did tough jobs, but you're still here showing your acts of kindness and love for others. So it's me who want to thank you for being here.
Thank you. Yes.
And just like you, Wendell, I have been a public school teacher. I've worked in the field of education for 30 years. And all of a sudden, I had a calling, 2024, that change your path. I was supposed to be an assistant principal. Change your path, and I became a speaker. And I just want to thank my God, my Lord, for making me a speaker, because it opened a lot of avenue for me. I've done podcasting, speaking, social media presence, and I came up with this love show. It's called Love Speaks, where I talk about love. Love for others, love for yourself. You uplift others, and global compassion. Now, my husband has always been sick, chronically ill, and sometimes you lose yourself in the process because of everyday challenges and everyday life. And he passed away in 2024, my husband. And I was questioning myself, can I do this alone? Can I do widowhood alone? How am I going to help my children as a single mom now if I am not fully healed? I woke up one day, I looked at myself in the mirror, Wendell, I didn't like what I saw. I felt unmotivated, defeated, and just woke up one day and I told myself, you know what? I'm going to start prioritizing myself, loving me, because I want to be there for my kids wholeheartedly. And I call that self-love. So until now, I'm in that journey of self-love and I found my strength. I love myself. That's why I'm able to spread this message to everyone. Love yourself so that you can uplift others. What about you, Wendell? What do you think of self-love in your own?
I think that it's very important. It's the most important, I guess, character trait that you can have, self-love. The most important thing that you can do to initially develop your relationship with God is first realize that you need to love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, you can't love not even God. I mean, so yes, the greatest commandment, is to love God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And the second is like unto it, to love your neighbor as yourself.
True.
You see, so when you really look at those two particular verses, you see that first thing they're pointing out in the second part of that verse is that the second part of this verse is like the first one. Which means that you must love your neighbor as yourself, which means in order to love your neighbor, you have to love yourself. And the first one is like unto it, which means you have to also love God too. And so a lot of that kind of went over my head for a while, thinking, well, wow, I gotta love I can't love God unless, because he's not physically here. So I have to show my love for God by loving my neighbor, and I can't love my neighbor unless I love myself. And so until I really realized is that, well, wow, I gotta really love myself. And in order to do that, you gotta be humble. You gotta be willing to look at the pain. You gotta be willing to hug your cactus. There's this professor named Jordan Peterson. He has #1 book called The 12 Steps of Life. And from a psychological viewpoint, he goes into a lot of questions about self-love. But, getting yourself help and understanding yourself, like professional counseling, or talking to your pastor, or even praying to God yourself about rooting out those things, or being able to hug your cactus, the things that cause you pain, being able to deal with those so that you can go on to have the spiritual self-esteem that you should have, is very important. Now, you don't have to be perfect in doing that, but you need to start out at a point as far as realizing that I need to love myself and recognize what you do love about yourself. And then recognize what your weaknesses are, and then try to improve, pray to God, and try to get yourself to a point where you can basically improve your improvements. And so you can be able to help other people. But it's not loving other people. That word is agape, which means unconditional love, which, and a lot of people don't really understand that either. That unconditional love means you don't have to like this person to love them. God expects you to do whatever is necessary to help them unconditionally. You shouldn't put conditions on your relationship or on your ability to help this person. You
know that you've served the country, you've served the community, and what you did is not easy. I've always looked up to serve this man. I've always looked up to people who serve their country, because that's not a joke. That's a special calling that people go to. When I see a serviceman anywhere in my community, I stop, I approach them, and I thank you. So I want to take this moment and say thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
Believe me, and I know that you're active in your church with all the things that you do. Do you want to share with everybody what are those things that you can do so that others will learn from you? What are those things that you can do silently or quietly, but those little moments mean a lot to others?
Well, one of the things which I think is like the most important initially is to pray for people, and praying helps You can't do more than what God can do for a person. So if you pray to God for that person's best interest, then that's what you can do to help that person. And that's what I try to do on an individual basis. I know people who are sick, who are struggling with cancer, or who are struggling with other issues in life. And I pray for them. And I try to reach out to them and talk to them, things of that nature. I try and take them to dinner.
Wow.
If I hear of someone in the church who is like shut in, then I'll go see them.
Right.
Employment is where I help, specifically try and help people. I specifically got employed or applied for juvenile delinquency.
Wow. That's tough. Okay, tell us about it.
Yeah, and I went and I served them for a while. And then after that, I said, well, maybe if I was actually in the classroom, this would help better. And then I did that for a while. Then I said, well, maybe I'm going to go to 211. 211 United Way. That's 211 is a public charity that this United Way sponsors 211 throughout the whole country. Instead of 211, if you have one that deals with nonprofit charity, like you don't have a place to stay, you need food to eat, you don't have clothes to wear, you need a job, any type of public charity that is out there in the community. Another little thing I think that we can do, which I would take like plastic bags and put water in and a candy bar, soap,
like a
toothpaste,
a grab bag.
Yeah, grab bag.
Nice.
And I keep it in my trunk.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, and then whenever you pull somebody comes up to your car, all you gotta do is pop your trunk and say, okay, you can get one out. You don't even have to get out your car or anything, and they get one and thank you. And convenient way, because usually if I see somebody looks like they're not on drugs, and you have to make that assessment, I would give them a couple of dollars, or I'll take them to get them something to eat. Most of the time I find myself saying, okay, I'll get you something to eat, because giving people money, you don't know what they're going to do with it. And you may be facilitating whatever habit they have. So, you can figure out things to do and ways you can help people. If you pray to God about it, you can think about everything else in life you want to do. Helping people should be something that's a priority too.
I want to reflect on what you said. When you were there checking up on someone, you don't know what people go through.
Yeah.
That one visit that you did, that one interaction that you made, could change his life.
Yeah.
Like just knowing that somebody cared for me. Not a family member, not like somebody that I am in the house with. Somebody actually went out of his way to ask how I was. And that's big, Wendell. Yeah. That's big. Sometimes that show of concern matters to people, because you don't know what people go through in life.
That's true.
And like what you said, that grab bag, if I was somebody who in need and I get a grab bag, I'll be jumping for joy. That's probably the best day of my life, because nobody, yes, we don't know who really need it, like those people who ask for money, but if they're really genuinely in need of something, that's big. If they get a grab bag from you, whatever's inside, that's touching.
And I put a 211 card in there too, and let them know about 211. And say, hey, are you out here on the street? Have you heard of 211?
Yes, that's big. I didn't even know what 211 is.
Just call them and they'll tell them where you're at. They help you get an ID. If you're homeless, they'll help you get ID. You just tell them where you're at. They'll tell you where the nearest church is at that gives you free food.
Wow.
So every little resource that's in a community, they know where it's at.
Okay.
And they'll direct you to it.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
My way of uplifting others is having you in front of me as a guest, because like I said, when I became a speaker, my path, my journey, my purpose started to change. I'm using my voice to spread love in my own way and to show kindness, and me putting individuals like you expressing themselves and actually giving actual ways on how to show love to others is my way of uplifting others.
Well, that's great. Yeah.
It is a show. I want this to be a movement to really make it big, showing love to others, because I deeply believe that love sounds so simple. It's overlooked.
Yes.
Think about it. It's overlooked.
Desensitized to love and getting into love. That's what God works through. He
Right.
works through love and acts of goodness. I remember one Christmas I was going to take my sister a present. As I had to go through this poor part of town, so I cut through there. And I stopped at a gas station, and there was this homeless lady who wanted me to give her some money
Okay.
at the gas station. I said, no, I just don't give out money. And she said, well, can you get me something to eat? And really, I didn't want to deal with this young lady. I'm trying to get to my sister and, give her gift. And so I said, okay, yeah, I can get you something to give. So I took her right down the street, got her something to eat, and she started crying on me. And I'm like, why are you crying? She said, because I was thinking about killing myself before you drove up. And I'm like, oh no, I got to deal with this now, But
you were there on the right time.
Right. And so I talked to her a little while. I seen this is serious. Wow, I better do something about this. So I talked to her a while and found out that she lived in a community not far down the street. So I said, well, why aren't you at home with your little girl and your husband? And she said, well, because I'm on drugs and, I just left them. I'm on drugs out here on the street trying to make it. And she said, can you take me home? And I said, okay. So I went to this very lavish, look like the where millionaires live, mansions type of community. And I'm like, you live over here? And she said, yes. And I said, I thought she was joking with me or something, just wanted me to let her out in that area. So she took me to a house, a big, nice house, looked like a mansion, in a neighborhood, a mansion. And she said, you could pull up in the driveway. So I pulled up in the driveway. She beat the horn, and this guy and this little girl came out. And she said, that's my husband and my little girl. And I'm like,
who is she?
Wait,
she works there or she lives there?
That was her husband and her little girl that came out of this house. And I'm like, why are you out here on the street down here? And you got a husband and
a beautiful house.
Yeah, beautiful house, girl. She's like, I'm on drugs and he don't want me to be on drugs. I don't want him to see me like this. So I sneak out and I do my thing and then I come back and blah, blah, blah. I said, wow, she was telling me all this. She said, but I got to go now. She said, I'm going to get help because I advised her to get help and things of this nature. But she said, thank you. She said, I didn't want to spend Christmas out there on the street. I was thinking about killing myself because I didn't want my husband or little girl to see me like this.
Wow. Wow.
And so
that's quite a story.
I left and I'm like, wow, did that just happen?
Wow. You were there exactly at the right moment.
Yes.
And you saved this woman's life.
And that, not only that, there's been other times when, by me trying to show love, it has really impacted someone else's life. And so that's what that's what keeps me motivated. Because I'm up in age, and so God has really used me in ways that I never thought that He could.
Wow. It doesn't matter if you're rich or you're poor. When you are in need of attention and love, that's my thing. Like, no matter how rich you are, you're still gonna go through.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you're happy.
Right.
You still go through pain and life struggle. And again, love. Love won because you were there for this, woman, right? One big reason why I came up with this one is because I really genuinely want more global compassion, especially what's going on in the world right now. With your line of work, line of duty, you've seen pain, you've seen suffering, you've seen, actual fighting and everything like that. Let's bring it back now. What do you think is the biggest challenge that we face when it comes to love? Do we have global compassion now? Like, what's one thing that you see that we lack when it comes to global compassion now, Wendell?
Well, but one thing I see, if God expects the world to change, He expects it to be done through Christians. He don't expect the sinners or bad people to change or to have the influence for Him that His word talks about. He talks about us going out into the world and teaching the world, showing the love and things of that nature. And I see on the surface, I see a lot of people, a lot of churches, congregations, who are more in line with political views than they are in God's word, and supporting politics more than they're aligning themselves with the Bible and supporting people who have character that aligns with His word. And I know that, nobody's perfect as far as politicians go, but it just kind of seems like in this day and time, people kind of like in Jesus' days, they're going for what is the safest thing to vote for or support, because they're worried about their bottom line, their pocketbook, or what have you. So if we as Christians do our job in praying for, like God tells us, the world, pray for our enemies, pray to be stronger than what we are. We personally try and do more. You'll see that that's the catalyst for the type of change that we need more. I know that, like, I give to Children's Relief Fund regularly. I've been given to Feed the World and a lot of other children's type of charities since I first joined the Armed Important Relief Causes in Africa, and now we have what's going over in Gaza. You see a lot of suffering and pain. And
I do.
They're asking for help, the Red Cross and other charities. And so I give to those charities as well. And if one of us do our part, then we could have the type of impact that this world needs, I feel.
My way of showing compassion globally is really accepting everybody for who they are, irregardless of race, color, nationality, politics, who you believe in. We are all the same in God's eyes. We are all the same, no matter what we have. You know what I mean? Like, we all love the same, we all talk the same, we all feel the same. So why look at somebody differently? That's how I see. That's how I hope people will have compassion for. Accepting people, no matter the disabled, people of different color with us, like the poor people, those who are sick, those who are homeless. Just accept them and show compassion. That's all we want. Sometimes it's so simple, but people are incapable of doing it. And it breaks my heart when I watch on social media and see the hate and the unacceptance and those things that just separates individuals from each other. That totally breaks my heart. Because it's so simple. Like, love your neighbor, meaning accept your neighbor. And like what you said, be a right Christian, like what you said, by accepting people. And what's the most basic rule? Love thy neighbor. Simple. Right? Love thy neighbor. If people will just follow that, love thy neighbor, it's in the Bible, it's in the Quran. I'm sure it's whatever religion you follow. That's basic. So it shouldn't be complicated. But why can't we do it? Why is it so difficult? That's my question. And I hope that, through this mission, through this show that I do, even if I touch 2 out of 10 people, I'm happy. If 1 or 2 resonate with what you're saying, start doing some real actions on love, then we did our job. This was our purpose. You know what I mean? So Wendell, when I look at you, I see sparkle in your eyes. There's a glow in your eyes. There's another kind of love that people hopefully will value. And that's the romantic kind of love. And I know that you recently married or something like that? Can you maybe share with our viewers, how do you value relationship? Value your partner, your spouse, and show them love in your most authentic, unique way.
Well, I guess this is going to be elementary answer.
Sometimes the most basic are what's needed.
I try and go by God's word as far as how do I love my beautiful wife. God is blessed.
I agree with you. I know Mr. Goodson's wife. She's beautiful inside and out.
Yes. And so I've been through multiple divorces, just to let you know that, yeah. And I've had those individuals to cheat on me. And for a while, like what you've lost your husband in a certain way, but I would look at myself and think, what am I doing wrong?
Okay,
what am I doing wrong? And then
at some point you question yourself, right? What am I doing wrong?
I beat up myself, and to me, until I learned what I was doing wrong, then I realized that I should just pray and stay single. Because really,
but that didn't happen.
Yeah, but you know what? I found out though what it was.
What?
And so
the right partner?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wasn't really cutting corners on the right partner, rationalizing, this person's fault or whatever. Oh, they'll get better, or this or that. I really didn't have the courage to go through to hug my cactus of being lonely, of improving myself to the degree that I need. Instead of blaming the other person, I look, I'm 50% of the relationship. I need.
Of course.
It's really not their fault.
It takes two to tango.
Yes, it's my fault. But until I started looking at myself, which is what led me to my current spouse, then I realized I wasn't doing what God wanted me to do, and I realized I wouldn't have a successful relationship. And really, that's the catalyst in everything you go through. You got to look at yourself first. Any issues you have with your partner, your family members, or whatever, you got to humble yourself and say, well, what am I doing to cause this relationship not to work out?
Right.
Because evidently there may be something I'm not doing.
Yes.
And you got to go down the rabbit hole and see what you can find. You got to have the courage to keep doing that. And sometimes God will let you know what you're not doing. And so until you humble yourself enough and have the courage to really try and change and be patient, you're probably not going to have the type of relationship success you want until you improve yourself and know what you want. And to be what they consider now a high value man, you got to have boundaries.
Right. Yes.
On things that you accept and what you don't accept. And you got to be willing to stand by those boundaries.
And I like what you said, learn from your mistakes, you know what I mean? Because instead of just blaming the individual or blaming what happened to you and be bitter about it, keep learning. We're lifelong learners in everything that we do.
Right.
It's only then will you have a more positive relationship, because we are learning from what we did differently before or wrong before, so that you won't have the same mistake. Right.
Last year I taught at a transformation school last year. I intentionally did it because I knew that that's probably where I could be most effective in helping those type of students. And so that's where I met my wife. My goal was to meet, somebody special, to meet a wife or whatever. I would pray to God that he would introduce me to somebody, that I would find somebody, but I wasn't really trying to act
to look. Yes.
I said, God, keep me on a path of doing your will, helping young people, motivating young black men and all men, no matter what their color, to be the best they can be in this type of environment. And so in the process of doing that, I met my current wife. And so it has been a blessing for, me to meet her ever since. And but trying to do God's will is what's really important. You try and do his will, he'll make sure that you're taken care of on your needs, things of that nature.
You know what? Now, you know how I can tell that it's a positive relationship? Because it shows on both of you. I do know Mr. Goodson's wife, and when I see her every day, we used to, see each other at work. There's also a glow in her. Like you can see that she's also speaks highly of you,
Yeah.
and there's like a smile always on her face.
Yes.
So I know that the feelings are reciprocated,
Yes.
and you both met at the right time, at the right place, and you were just meant to be, and that matters.
Right.
And that matters. And then your goals become one.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter where you go, as long as the both of you are together.
Right.
I feel that it's gonna work out. Wendell, I just want to really thank you for being here.
Okay.
You have made my first episode special because
thank you.
everything that I heard from you comes from your heart. Real actions, real stories. And please know that what you have done for the country, for your community, powerful, and it's never ever going to be forgotten. We need more people like you who has just unconditional love for everybody.
Yes.
You know what I mean? In your own special way and unique way, you're spreading love and kindness to everyone. Please don't stop, because I believe in ripple effect.
Okay.
You know, when you do something nice to someone, hopefully that person, there's a
Right.
ripple effect. And
Right.
so one love can spread.
Yes.
And that's our hope. That's our hope and goal, that people realize that love matters.
Yes.
So I believe that everybody has their own journey, has their own path, but never forget that whatever your purpose is in life, put love, make love and kindness and faith and your
Right.
God the center of it.
Right.
Only then will your purpose, your path is going to
Right.
lead you to success.
Right. And
Okay.
courage is a part of faith,
Right.
because faith without works is
I
dead,
love that.
as it talks about in James chapter 2.
You have shed light to a lot of people. I just want to say thank you. And if, I believe that anyone who listens to this will have something that they can do right away
Right.
to start, just making this a priority.
Yes. Yes.
No matter how busy we are, no matter how successful we are, you can only be whole if you have love in your heart.
Right.
Right.
I would first like to thank
Thank you. It was
for
nice.
having me.
It was so nice to meet you
and,
too.
being a friend to my
Yes.
dear wife, Mary Lou, and for you doing this.
Yes.
We're going to pray that it's successful. And if there's anything we can do to support,
Thank you.
just let.
Wendell, it is an honor to have you here with me today for the very first episode of Love Speaks. Thank you so much for being part of this special moment.